Hello everyone. Welcome to Let's Crack UPSC CSE English and Unacademy, India's largest learning platform. Dear friends, in today's marathon session, we will continue with the fundamentals of physical geography. Today we will start with the climate. I hope now I'm audible to you all. So let's start today's session. So dear friends, in our earlier sessions, we have discussed about the Unit 1 Geography as a discipline, then Unit 2 Earth, where we have discussed about the origin and evolution of the Earth, interior of the Earth, distribution and oceans and continents. Then in landforms unit, we have discussed about minerals and rocks, geomorphic processes, landforms and their evolution. And today we'll start with the climate. Now just go through the recap of the session. In unit, the Earth we have discussed in detail origin and evolution of Earth, where we discuss about the early theories like origin of Earth, and then modern theories where we have discussed about origin of the universe. We have discussed about the Big Bang theory, then star formation of planets, then our solar system, we have discussed about solar system in detail. Then we have covered the moon. Then friends, we have discussed about evolution of the Earth. Then evolution of lithosphere, evolution of atmosphere and hydrosphere we have discussed. Then we have discussed about geological time scale, where we have started from Big Bang supernova, origin of stars, then Precambrian era, Paleozoic era, Mesozoic era, then we have discussed about Cenozoic era, then we have discussed about origin of life, yes, we have discussed about origin of life, then the interior of earth, we have discussed about the sources of information about the interiors, where we have discussed about direct and indirect sources, then we have discussed about earthquake, then earthquake waves, where we have discussed about primary waves, secondary waves and surface waves in detail. Then propagation of earthquake waves, so we have discussed about types of earthquakes, so like tectonic earthquakes, then special class of tectonic earthquake, then collapse earthquakes, explosion earthquakes, then here also we have discussed about structure of the earth, the crust, mantle, core, volcanoes and volcanic landforms we have discussed. Where we have covered the shield volcano, yes, shield volcanoes, cinder cone, composite volcanoes, caldera, flood basalt provinces, mid-ocean ridge volcanoes. And then friends, we have discussed about volcanic landforms. Here we have covered intrusive forms, batholiths, laccoliths, lapolith, phacolith and seals. Then we have discussed about the distribution of oceans and continents. Where we have discussed about continental drift, then evidence in support of continental drift, tillite, placer deposits, distribution of fossils, then force for drifting, post-drift studies, conventional current theory, mapping of the ocean floor, then ocean floor configuration, where continental margins, friends, we have discussed, like continental margins, which forms the transition between continental shores and deep sea basins. So they include continental shelf, continental slope, continental rise, and deep oceanic trenches. Then we have discussed abyssal plains, mid-oceanic ridges, then distribution of earthquakes and volcanoes, then concept of sea floor spreading, where we have discussed about ring of fire, like deep earthquake zones, shallow earthquake centers, volcanic eruptions, and hotspots. So we have discussed distribution of earthquakes and volcanoes in detail. Then seafloor spreading we have discussed. Then major and minor plates of the world. Then divergent boundaries, convergent boundaries, transform boundaries, rates of plate movement, force of the plate movement, and after that we have discussed about movement of the Indian plate. Then in landforms we have discussed minerals and rocks, where we have discussed about physical characteristics of minerals, then metallic minerals, non-metallic minerals, we have discussed about rocks. So like friends, petrology is science of rocks, and petrology studies rocks in all their aspects like mineral composition, texture, structure, origin, occurrence, alteration, and relationship with other rocks. Yes. Good evening, Tulsiram. Now, we have discussed about igneous rocks, then sedimentary rocks, and metamorphic rocks. Then we have discussed about rock cycle. Then we have discussed about geomorphic processes. Yes. Where we have discussed about endogenic process, then dystrophism, volcanism, exogenic processes. Then we have discussed about weathering, where we have discussed about chemical and physical weathering processes. Now friends, biological activity and weathering, spatial effects of weathering we have discussed. Then significance of weathering. Then mass movements like landslide scares in Shivalik Himalaya range, near river Sada at India-Nepal border. Then we have discussed about erosion and deposition. After that, we have covered soil formation, process of soil formation like soil forming factors, parent material, topography, then we have discussed about landforms and their evolution, where we have covered about geomorphic process and agents like running water, then running water, which summarizes as youth, mature and old, then erosional landforms, groundwater and wind also we have discussed. Erosional landforms, where valleys, potholes, Then we have discussed about incised or entrenched meanders, river terraces. Then depositional landforms. Alluvial, yes, alluvial fans, deltas, floodplains, natural levees and point bars. Then we have discussed about meanders, then groundwater, then erosional landforms like pools, sinkholes, lapis and limestone pavements, then depositional landforms, stalactites, stalagmites, and pillars we have discussed in detail. Then friends, we have discussed about glaciers. Now, yes, we discussed about glaciers. Then erosional landforms, cirque, horns and serrated ridges. Then glacial valleys, troughs, and then depositional landforms, moraines, estuaries, outwash plains, drumlins, then erosional landforms where we have discussed about cliffs, terrace, caves and stakes. Then depositional landforms like beaches and dunes, bars and barriers and speeds. Then winds, yes, then playas, deflation hollows and caves, the mushroom table and pericial rocks. Then we have covered the depositional landforms and sand dunes. Yes. Now, before starting the climate, dear friends, it's my pleasure to welcome you all on Unacademy, India's largest learning platform. It's me, Rushikesh Inamdar, guiding UPSC aspirants from last 8 years. So friends, you can follow me on Unacademy, and also you can join our Telegram group to get important updates related civil services preparation. Now friends, as you know, UPSC announced CSE 2020 results, final results yesterday. Congratulations to all successful candidates. So the Unacademy learner Jagrati Avasti secured second rank. Congratulations on her massive success. And there are 169 plus learners who have cracked CSE 2020. Still the number is we are counting. So friends, let's start your preparation. With Unacademy, we will guide you throughout the journey of UPSC CSE. Now, the UPSC Combat we are conducting on every Sunday morning 11 am. So friends, there are 60 minutes time allocated for 56 questions. As per your rank, you will get amazing prizes and scholarships. Now, the link is provided in the description box. You can use invite code RBI Live to register for the Unacademy Combat. Now, friends, we are also providing study material 20 books worth rupees 10,000. Absolutely free with 1 year subscription and above. And we are also providing no cost EMI benefit or loan facilities on subscription. The link is provided in the description box, so you can apply for the loan facilities. Now friends, you can also avail 10% discount using code RBI Live. Unacademy is providing iconic and plus paid subscriptions on our platform. In plus subscription, you will get live classes, structured courses, unlimited access for live and recorded classes, along with weekly tests. Now, in iconic subscription, you will get all the features of plus course, along with additional features like personal guidance, study planner, study material, experts guidelines and test analysis. Now, you can also avail 10% discount using referral code RBI Live. So for the 1 year of plus subscription, you have to pay only 44,550 rupees. And for the iconic subscription of 1 year, you have to pay 67,050 rupees only. So friends, do not forget to use referral code RBI Life to get 10% discount on optional and general studies subscription. And do not forget to join free test series by Unacademy. You can use code RBI Life to unlock the test series. Yes, now friends, let's continue today's session with new unit, climate. So basically friends, this unit which deals with the atmosphere, like composition and structure, elements of weather and climate, then insolation, like angle of incidence and distribution, heat budget of the earth, heating and cooling of atmosphere, then temperature, so factors controlling temperature, distribution of temperature, horizontal and vertical, and inversion of temperature. Now we will discuss about pressure, precipitation and world climates. So let's start with the composition and structure of atmosphere. Yes. So friends, now just answer this simple question. Can a person live without air? Obviously, it's not possible. We eat food 2-3 times a day and drink water more frequently, but breathe every few seconds. So, air is essential, but yes, essential to the survival of all organisms. Some organisms like humans may survive for some time without food and water, but can't survive even a few minutes without breathing air. Now that shows the reason why we should understand the atmosphere in greater detail. So atmosphere is mixture of different gases and it envelops the earth all around. It contains life-giving gases like oxygen for humans and animals, and carbon dioxide for plants. The air is an integral part of the Earth's mass, and 99% of the total mass of the atmosphere is confined to the height of 32 kilometers from the Earth's surface. Now, the air is colorless and odorless and can be felt only when it blows as wind. Yes. Now let's start with the composition of the atmosphere. Dear friends, let's discuss about the composition of the atmosphere. So the atmosphere is composed of gases, water vapor, and dust particles. So the proportion of gases which changes in the higher layers of the atmosphere in such a way that oxygen will be almost in negligible quantity at the height of 120 km. Similarly, carbon dioxide and water vapor are found only up to 90 kilometers from the surface of the earth. Now let's discuss about gases in detail. So carbon dioxide is meteorologically very important gas as it is transparent to the incoming solar radiation but opaque to the outgoing terrestrial radiation. So it absorbs a part of terrestrial radiation and reflects back some part of it towards the earth's surface. So it largely responsible for the greenhouse effect, and the volume of other gases is constant, but the volume of carbon dioxide has been rising in the past few decades, mainly because of the burning of fossil fuels, and this has also increased the temperature of the air. Now, ozone is another important component of the atmosphere which found between the 10 to 50 kilometers above the Earth's surface and acts as a filter and absorb the ultraviolet rays which radiating from the sun and prevents them from reaching the surface of the earth. Now then, water vapor. Yes. Now friends, next is water vapor. So water vapor is also variable gas in the atmosphere which decreases with altitude Yes. So in the warm and wet tropics, it may account for 4% of the air by volume, while in the dry and cold areas of desert and polar regions. So it may be less than 1% of the air. So water vapor also decreases from the equators. Sorry. The water vapor also decreases from the equator towards the poles, and it also absorbs parts of the insolation from the sun and preserves the earth's radiated heat. In thus acts like a blanket which allowing the earth neither to become too cold nor too hot. So friends, water vapor also contributes to the stability and instability stability and instability in the air. Now, the water vapor also contributes to the stability and instability in the air. Now, after that, we discuss about the dust particles. So, atmosphere has sufficient capacity to keep small solid particles which may originate from different sources and include sea salts, then fine soil, smoke soot, Yes, the smoke suit, then ash, pollen, yes, kushalpal. Now, in today's session, we are discussing about the fundamentals of physical geography in our marathon session. Now, the sea salts, fine soil, smoke suit, ash, pollen, it's a part of dust particles. Then, dust and disintegrated particles of meteors, yes. Now, dust particles are generally concentrated in the lower layers of yes, lower layers of atmosphere, and yet convectional air currents may transport them to great heights. So the higher concentration of dust particle is found in subtropical and temperate regions due to dry winds in comparison to equatorial and polar regions. Now, dust and salt particles act as hygroscopic nuclei around which water vapor condenses to produce clouds. Yes. Now, after the gases, water vapor and dust particles, let's discuss about the structure of the atmosphere. Structure of the atmosphere. Now friends, the atmosphere which consists of different layers with varying density and temperature. Now, the density is highest near the surface of the earth and decreases with increasing altitude. So the column of atmosphere is divided into five different layers which depending upon temperature condition. Now, they are troposphere, then stratosphere, mesosphere, then thermosphere, and exosphere. Yes. Now we will discuss the one by one. Now, now, now friends, just discuss about troposphere, stratosphere, mesosphere, and thermosphere and exosphere. I hope everyone draw this diagram for the purpose of your short notes. Yes. Now, friends, the troposphere, see here in the diagram, is the lowermost layer of the atmosphere, and its average height is 13 kilometers and extend roughly to a height of 8 kilometers near the poles and about 18 kilometers at the equator. Yes. So now, the thickness of troposphere is greatest at the equator because heat is transported to great heights by strong conventional currents, and this layer contains dust particles and water vapors. Now, all changes in climate and weather takes place at troposphere. The temperature in this layer, which decreases at the rate of 1 degree Celsius for every 165 meter of height, and this is the most important layer of all biological activity. Now, the zone of separating troposphere from stratosphere is known as tropopause. Now, the zone which separating the troposphere and stratosphere is known as the tropopause, and the air temperature at the tropopause is about minus 80 degrees Celsius over the equator and about, yes, and about minus 45 degrees Celsius over the poles. So the temperature here is nearly constant, and hence it is called the tropopause. So let's discuss about the stratosphere, which is found above the tropopause and extend up to the height of 50 kilometers. Now, one important feature of the stratosphere is that it contains ozone layer. Yes, the important feature of stratosphere is that it contains the ozone layer. So the layer which absorbs ultraviolet radiation and shields life on the earth from intense harmful from harmful form of energy. Yes. Then the mesosphere which lies above the stratosphere yes, mesosphere which lies above the stratosphere, which extend up to the height of 80 kilometers. In this layer, once again temperature starts decreasing. With the increase in altitude and reaches up to minus 100 degree Celsius at the height of 80 kilometers. The upper limit of mesosphere is known as the mesopause. Now the ionosphere is located between 80 and 400 km above the mesopause. Yes, the ionosphere is located between 80 and 400 km above the mesopause. Yes, in between this. So it contains electrically charged particles known as ions, and hence it is known as ionosphere. Now, radio waves which transmitted from the earth are reflected back to the earth by this layer, and the temperature here starts increasing with height, and the uppermost layer of the atmosphere above the thermosphere is known as exosphere. So friends, this is the highest layer, but very little is known about it, and whatever contents are there, these are extremely rarefied in this air. Yes, in this layer, and it gradually merges with the outer space. Although all layers of the atmosphere must be exercising influence on us. So geomorphers are concerned with the first two layers of the atmosphere. Yes, geographers are concerned with the first two layers of atmosphere, that is troposphere and stratosphere. Now, let's discuss about the elements of weather and climate. Elements of weather and climate. Now friends, the main elements of atmosphere which are subject to change and which influence human life on earth are temperature, pressure, winds, humidity, clouds, and precipitation. Now, we will discuss all these elements in upcoming chapters. So the main elements of atmosphere which are subject to change and which influence human life on earth are temperature, pressure, winds, humidity, clouds, and precipitation. Now, after the composition and structure of atmosphere, let's discuss about solar radiation, heat balance, and temperature. Now, so friends, we feel air around us. We know that we live at the bottom of a huge pile of air. We inhale and exhale, but we feel the air when it is in motion, which means air in motion is wind. Air in motion is wind. So we know about that Earth is surrounded by air all around, and this envelope of air is atmosphere. Which is composed of numerous gases. So these gases which support life over the Earth's surface. Now, the Earth, which receives almost all of its energy from the sun, the Earth in turn radiates back to space the energy received from the sun. And as a result, the Earth neither warms up nor does it get cooled over a period of time. And thus the amount of heat received by different parts of the Earth not the same. Now understand the concept. The Earth, which receives almost all of its energy from the sun, and the Earth in turn radiates back to space. Yes, the Earth in turn radiates back to space the energy which is received from the sun. As a result, the Earth neither warms up nor does it get cooled over a period of time, and thus the amount of heat received by different parts of the Earth is not same. So friends, this variation causes pressure differences. This variation causes pressure differences in the atmosphere, and this leads to transfer to heat from one region to the other by winds. Now, we'll discuss the process of heating and cooling of the atmosphere and the resultant temperature distribution over the Earth's surface. Now, we'll start with the solar radiation. Now, friends, the Earth's surface receives most of its energy in short wavelengths, and the energy received by the Earth, which is known as incoming solar radiation, which in short is termed as insolation. Now, at the Earth is geoid resembling a sphere, and the sun's rays fall obliquely at the top of the atmosphere, and the Earth intercepts a very small portion of the sun's energy. On an average, the Earth receives 1.94 calories per square centimeter per minute at the top of its atmosphere. Now, as the Earth receives 1.94 calories per square centimeter per minute at the top of its atmosphere, so the solar output received at the top of atmosphere, which varies slightly in a year due to the variations in the distance between the Earth and the Sun. Yes. Now friends, basically the solar output received at the top of the atmosphere, which varies slightly in a year due to the variations in the distance between the sun and the earth, now during its revolution around the sun, the earth is farthest from the sun, that is 152 million kilometers. On 4th July. So this position of the earth is called aphelion. You can write down the word and the short note. Yes. Now, during its revolution around the sun, the earth is farthest from the sun on 4th July, which is around 152 million kilometers. So this position of the earth is called aphelion. Now, on 3rd January, the earth is nearest to the sun, that is around 147 million kilometers. So this position is called perihelion. Yes, perihelion and aphelion. Now friends, therefore the annual insolation received by the earth on 3rd January is slightly more than the amount received on 4th July. However, the effect of this variation in the solar output is masked by other factors like distribution of land and sea and the atmosphere circulation. Hence, this variation in the solar output does not have great effect on daily weather changes on the surface of the earth. Now, yes. Now, friends, the variation in the solar output does not have great effect on daily weather changes on the surface of the earth. Now let's discuss about the variability of insolation. Yes, variability of insolation at the surface of the earth. Now, the amount and intensity of insolation vary during a day in a season. Yes, during a day, in a season, and in a year. Now, the factors that cause these variation in insolation are the rotation of earth on its axis, angle of inclination, of the sun's rays, then length of the day fourth transparency of the atmosphere, and fifth one, configuration of land in terms of its aspect. Now, the last two, however, have less influence, which means configuration of land and transparency of the atmosphere. Now, the fact that the Earth's axis makes an angle of 66.5 with the plane of its orbit around the Sun has a greater influence on the amount of insolation received at different latitudes. Then the second factor, that is the angle of inclination of the sun's rays, that determines the amount of insolation received, is the angle of inclination of the rays. Now this depends on the latitude of plane. The higher the latitude, the less is the angle they make with the surface of the earth, which resulting in slant sun rays. Now, the area covered by vertical rays is always less than the slant rays, and if more area is covered, the energy gets distributed and the net energy received per unit area decreases. So moreover, these slant rays are required to pass through greater depth of the atmosphere, resulting in more absorption, scattering and diffusion. Yes. Now let's discuss about the summer solstice. Yes. Friends, please make diagram, rough diagram. Yes. Now, the slant rays are required to pass through greater depth of atmosphere, which resulting in more absorption, scattering and diffusion. Now, the passage of solar radiation through the atmosphere. So friends, here understand the atmosphere is largely transparent to short wave solar radiation. Now, the incoming solar radiation passes through the atmosphere before striking the Earth's surface. Within the troposphere, water vapor, ozone, and other gases absorb much of the near infrared radiation. Yes. So, very small suspended particles in the troposphere which scatters scatter visible spectrum both to space and towards the earth's surface. So this process which adds colors to the sky. Now friends, the red color of the rising and the setting sun and the blue color of the sky are the result of scattering of light within the atmosphere. Now, I hope you have completed with the diagram, and now we'll discuss the passage of solar radiation through the atmosphere once again. Here friends, the atmosphere is largely transparent to short-wave solar radiation and the incoming solar radiation which passes through the atmosphere before striking the Earth's surface. Now within the troposphere, water vapor, ozone and other gases which absorb much of the near infrared radiation. So very small suspended particles in the troposphere which scatter visible spectrum both to the space and towards the Earth's surface. So this process adds color to the sky. The red color of the rising and the setting sun and the blue color of the sky are the result of this scattering of light within the atmosphere. Now, let's discuss about the spatial distribution of insolation at Earth's surface. Now, the insolation received at the surface, which varies from about 320 watt per meter square in the tropics to about 70 watt per square meter now. The insolation received at the surface varies from about 320 watt per square meter to 70 watt. Yes, in the tropics to the 70 watt per square meter in the poles. Now, maximum insolation is received over the subtropical deserts, where the cloudiness is the least. So, equator, which receives comparatively less insolation than the tropics, and generally at the same latitude, the insolation is more over the continent than over the oceans. So in winter, the middle and higher latitudes receives less radiation than In summer, so here is, see the sun rays, the Tropic of Cancer, the day and night. So the summer solstice, now the normally in winter the middle and higher latitudes receive less radiation than in summer. Now let's discuss about heating and cooling of atmosphere. Now friends, there are different ways of heating and cooling of the atmosphere. The earth, after being heated by insolation, transmit the heat to the atmospheric layers near to the earth in long wave form. Now the air in contact with the land gets heated slowly, and upper layers in contact with lower layers also get heated. So the process which is known as conduction conduction which takes place when when two bodies of unequal temperature are in contact with one another. Now, see, there is flow of energy from warmer to cooler body, and the transfer of heat continues until both the bodies attain the same temperature or the contact is broken. Now, the conduction is important in heating the lower layers of the atmosphere. Now, the air in contact with the earth which rises vertically on heating in the forms of currents and further transmits the heat of the atmosphere. So basically this process of vertical heating of atmosphere is known as convection, and the convective transfer of energy is confined only to the troposphere. Yes. Now, the transfer of heat through horizontal movement of air is known as advection, and horizontal movement of the air is relatively more important than the vertical movement. So in middle latitudes, most of the diurnal variation in daily weather are caused by advection alone. So in tropical regions, particularly in northern India, during summer season, local winds called Lu is the outcome of advection process. Yes, normally we are using the terminology Lu during the summers. So in tropical regions, particularly in northern India, during summer season local winds called Lu is the outcome of advection process. Now friends, in next session we will discuss about terrestrial radiation and further topics in solar radiation, heat balance and temperature topic. Yes, chapter. So till the time, keep revising what we have covered in all 8 parts of the fundamentals of physical geography. Now friends, we are doing this NCERT page by page with the slow pace. Now, dear friends, you can also join the new batches from 29th September and from 18th October. So from 29th September, there will be 1 year and 2 year batches. And from 18th October, there will be answer writing and quality enhancement program. Now, weekend current affairs simplified batch, which will help you to cover the current affairs from the newspapers like Hindu, Indian Express, magazines like Yojana, Kurukshetra, Down to Earth EPW, and the other so important sources like PIB, Rajya Sabha TV, All India Radio. In this batch, top educators will cover your complete current affairs part. So friends, do not forget to attend this weekend current affairs simplified batch. Do not forget to enroll yourself for UPSC Combat. It's absolutely free for all aspirants. Every Sunday morning 11 am. The link is provided in the description box. Using the link, you can also use invite code RBI Live to register for the UPSC Combat. So there will be 60 minutes and you have to solve 56 questions. As per your ranks, you will get amazing prizes and scholarships. For example, first 3 rank holders will get 1 year UPSC CSE plus subscription, and other aspirants and rank holders will get 75%, 50% and 25% scholarship as per their ranks. Now, we are also providing study material in hard copy for the both Hindi and English medium. So the set of 20 books, which is created by our best UPSC experts. So this study material worth rupees 10,000 you will get absolutely free with 1 year subscription and onwards. So you can go with the general studies, iconic and combo subscriptions to get free study material. Those aspirants facing financial constraint, they can opt for the no cost EMI or loan facilities. The link is provided in the description box, and you can also use referral code RBI Life to get 10% discount. And friends, do not forget to join free test series using code RBI Life to unlock the tests. And once again, we congratulate all successful candidates who have cracked Civil Services Examination 2020. 169 plus learners from Unacademy cracked the CSE 2020. Still we are counting the number of candidates. So friends, Unacademy will provide you complete support till your final selection. So keep studying, keep revising, stay tuned. See you in the next lecture with next marathon session with remaining topics of fundamentals of physical geography. Stay home, stay safe, get vaccinated, take care.